Your words will make you or break you. What you say is either going to give you massive success, mediocrity, or you're going to be a failure based on what you say, what comes out of your mouth. And it's going to affect other people more than almost anything else that you ever do. Your words are that powerful. So let's kind of dive right in. I'm going to start with a scripture. Proverbs 15:4 says, "Gentle words are a tree of life. A deceitful tongue crushes the spirit." Do you know that in the Bible it talks so much about words? It talks about we have death and life in the power of our tongue. It talks about our words are like a spark that can light a fire that will blaze. It talks about like being a bit in a horse's mouth. You can control the horse by this little bitty bit in its mouth. Well, that's how important your words are. Your words are like a rudder on a ship. It'll actually direct where you're going. Your words are super, super powerful. I mean, it's all through the Bible. When you get this revelation and you start applying it and you see how it affects you, I think you're going to be just like me. You will start understanding, go, wow, I never really knew how powerful that was. You're going to start becoming very aware of your words and start changing them. So again, they work for you or against you. So I want you to think about this. We're going to go into the negative aspect of words first. Hurtful words can cause a lifelong problem in people. And you may have had that happen to you. Maybe you had someone speak something over you and it still hurts to this day. You had people tell you you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, you didn't have enough experience. And you know that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? That's a lie. That's a huge lie. Words can help you, they can hurt you. Let me give you an example. I had a client that her second grade teacher told her that she was always going to be average, that she probably would get by great in life, but you know what? She wasn't ever going to be exceptional at anything. She was just average and mediocre. And you know what? I heard that from this client and it made me mad. It made me angry. Like, who is she or anyone? What gives them the right to speak that to a young child, to tell them something like that? Well, this person, she struggled. She struggled for most of her life. When I first started working with her, she couldn't pay her bills. She was okay, she'd pay them sometimes, sometimes not, but struggled at everything. Her marriage was struggling. Everything that she did, she was kind of like average in. And when I say that, most people struggle. But you know what? I started changing what I told her. I was like, I don't care what that teacher said. She was wrong. You know, you are exceptional. You are incredible. And I started pointing out all the great things about her. I was building her up with lots of powerful words. You know what? Within a year, she went from struggling to her marriage started really turning in the right direction. And her and her husband started connecting in a way they hadn't in years. Do you know her income started just going through the roof? In fact, she made enough money that I bet most people watching this would go, wow, I would like to make that kind of money. Well, she did when she hadn't made that money for a long, long time or actually ever that type of money. But you know why? Because I spoke very powerful, encouraging words. And so I don't care what anyone has ever said about you. I'm going to speak these over you. You were made to succeed. You were made for success, period. God doesn't make junk, and He made you. And He made you to succeed. But you have to get that deep inside of you. So you know what? We need to start thinking about what words we've heard. What are we saying to other people? What are we saying to ourselves? And not just thinking. Thinking is so powerful. We've talked a lot about thinking on some of our past trainings and videos, but I'm talking about specifically words right now. You need to speak your thoughts out loud, but be very careful about what you're speaking. I'm going to give you one more example, positive and negative. This training that I heard, and I don't know the story as well as the ones that I personally have worked with people, but I really liked the story. This was about a professional baseball player that had a ministry, and he was out helping people in prison. And as he was sharing with them a lot of the struggles he went through as a baseball player, and he became a pro and did very well. Well, you know what? He started saying when he hit those injuries, you know what kept him going? His dad always said, I can see you playing pro ball. You have what it takes. You're going to make it someday. So instead of quitting when he got injured, and he got injured pretty bad, which would have stopped most people, he said those words just kept replaying in my heart, and I just couldn't ever get over what my dad said. And you know what? As he was talking about the power of words, another person that he was ministering to said something the exact opposite. He said, I know exactly what you mean, but I had a different kind of dad. You know what my dad did? My dad would say, you know what? You're no good. You're going to end up in prison by the time you're 21 years old. You're going to be incarcerated forever. He said, I didn't let my dad down either. I did exactly what he said. I became that bad person. I ended up in prison before I was 21, just like he said. Do you know that there are so many examples of this? There's people that it's crazy about that die because they started saying and prophesying over themselves they would die at a certain age and in a certain way, and it happens. It is so powerful. But let me also just share some other things. Do you know that cows and livestock, if you talk nice to them, and milking cows, let me be very specific, they produce more milk and sweeter milk if you talk nice to them. If you encourage them, build them up. Sounds goofy, but it works. It's proven. Let me tell you about another experiment, a scientific study by a person in 6th grade. Now, this person went on to become a minister and a great teacher. Well, when he was in 6th grade, he did this experiment. He basically had two plants, or two pots, let's say. He put the exact same soil in them. He put the same types of seed from the exact same batch. In one planter, he put one seed, and the other he put another. And for his experiment, he documented all of this. Then he spoke every day positive things over one. He didn't speak negative things over the other. He just spoke positive over the one. And he didn't see any results, any changes. And he says, I remember talking to my mom about this, going, I wonder if this is going to work. And she goes, you know it will work. It's biblical. It has to work. He goes, I know, Mom. I know. Well, you know what? He kept on with the experiment. By the time it was over, the plant he was speaking positive things over grew twice as much as the other plant. And he, in fact, won the entire science fair and started telling other people about this. They started giving him awards in 6th grade. You know, another thing, Dr. Emoto. I don't know if you've ever looked at the power of words over water, but the power over water is kind of crazy. What he did is he looked at water that came from a polluted source, and he would blow it up in microscopes and show it like really close, and it looked ugly. To the human eye, it looked like, oh, that's ugly looking. They spoke positive words over it like, I love you, and other things. And they played music even with good vibrations, good music. And you know what? That ugly water turned really pretty. Now they also took water that was from a pure source. They blew it up and it looked like a snowflake, looked really beautiful, and they started speaking negative words over it, like Hitler or I hate you. And you know what? They showed during a lot of his experiments how that water physically changed. Do you know that your body is made up of a lot of liquid, a lot of water? Do you know that by you speaking over yourself, you're actually good or bad, changing your physiology? It's very, very important. Do you know that the chemistry in your brain is released, different chemistry is released? And they've studied this when you speak positive as well as different chemistry is released when you speak negative. Well, I want you to think about what are you speaking to yourself? Are you proactive about this? Are you saying to yourself out loud, I don't mean like thinking, but speaking out loud that you're awesome, that you're great, that you're going to succeed, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to have a great family, a great relationship? Or do you say to your spouse, you know what, you always do this? Do you have that negative attitude and you speak that? If you do, you're going to have a terrible relationship. Or with yourself, it's going to change how you react to people. It's going to change the results you get. So speaking to yourself and or speaking to people around you changes everything. So do you know what? Our business is exploding in the right way, not exploding in a bad way. It's growing. It's massively getting better. We started speaking that before we saw any results. We started saying that over and over, and you know what happened? Of course, it started growing. So will yours. So will anything you apply this to. A relationship is the exact same way. It's amazing because I've been doing coaching for a long, long time. I've been doing this for almost 25 years now. It's kind of crazy how long I've been doing this, but the power of words is one of the most impactful things you can use for your benefit. And I speak a lot of positive words to my clients and build them up, but I get them to speak those in affirmation form and just being very careful and aware of their words. And when they start speaking doubt to me, I joke about it. I go, did you say try? Are you cussing at me again? And I'll joke, and they'll remember they quit using that word, but then they sneak out a different word that means try. And I go, I know you're just trying to be creative here, but you're really saying try, aren't you? They're like, oh yeah, I really didn't expect it. But you can listen to your words and know what you're expecting at a core level. Pay attention to what's coming out of your mouth, what's coming out of the mouth of other people. It's going to really be changing everything. So become aware of this. I want you also to be thinking about the long-term impact. So short-term, you can see results pretty quickly, but if you keep saying something over and over and over, it gets formed in your heart, and that's how you're going to be. So I want you to identify this week, maybe today, like within the next 24 hours, what words come out of your mouth. Are you building people up? Or are you tearing them down? Are you building yourself up? Or are you tearing yourself down? Become aware within the next 24 hours. Really pay attention to what comes out of your mouth. And I used to think I was clever because I could cut down people. That's what I learned calling it as I grew up. We would cut down, and I thought it was very clever because I could say something cute. Everyone would laugh, but it would be at someone else's detriment. I'd make them look bad. How terrible was that? And I learned how to do that, and I was pretty good at it. But now it's like, I don't even like to joke about negative things. I know how impactful our words are. So I try very hard to not even joke about negative things. But I want you, within the next 24 hours, to pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth. Really think about for yourself, for other people, and understand the power of your words on your physiology, on your success, on other people, and become aware of it, but more importantly, use it to your benefit. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed this, I hope that you subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button. Share it with someone else if you think it's going to help them in a positive way. And as always, remember to expect success. Thanks.